Welcome to another episode of What Day Is It? Fluffy, this week I don't remember at all what episode number we're on. It's been a busy summer
It's like
already.
17 maybe?
17. That's
Maybe, I don't know.
probably something like that. We were waiting for our 20th episode to do something special. Fluffy wants to record with the camels, but fuck it, we're bringing you something good today. Ladies and gentlemen across the table from me, as always, is the big, beautiful, bearded Fluffy. But sitting next to him today is the one, the only, a good friend of ours, Jason Martin. Thanks for coming on. How are you?
Doing good. How are you guys?
We're okay.
Hot. It's a little warm out
It
today.
is. My phone says that it's 91 now, which is fucking sick.
Same by my house too.
Man, I filled in all the waters today. I put the kookaburra inside. Ooh, I don't want to be out there, man. I'm not looking forward to dragging this camel to a church for a couple hours. It's too damn hot.
Bring your sunscreen.
I don't know if I have any. I might have some on the fridge.
You got a cowboy hat now too now.
That's true.
Wear that.
Might have to do that. Now you're on to something, man. So this week's been exciting already. You know, it's only Tuesday, but yesterday I drove up to the UP, picked up 2 baby porcupines, and randomly 2 albino mink. So it was kind of cool. That's all going on with the ranch. Once again, we're doing the camel caravan this weekend. That's part of the reason why Jason came on in. Jason, he is a national camel trainer, and he decided to come kick it with some bozos for National Camel Day. So without further ado, Jason, if you want to tell the people who you are, where you come from, what you do, stuff like that.
Got time for all that?
Probably not.
Right on.
Probably not, but we need some kind of introduction.
All right, right on. Well, I'm a professional camel trainer. I named the camel training company Homeschool Camels. So, 2012, I guess, when I started doing that. And yeah, I travel all over the country, help people train their camels and figure out the best living situations that we could give their particular situation for camels. Camels live in a lot of different situations. Really. And we have to find ways to adapt our life to help the camels out. So that's kind of what I do. I'm a camel media.
Camel expert.
Yeah. I don't like to take expert too far. So I think that when we put that label on, when you put expert on something, you stop learning because you know.
Okay, professional then.
Right? Well,
Is that okay?
Professional, right?
Yeah.
Professional camel. I try to be professional most often. 9 to 5.
Yeah, after 5 o'clock though.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It is.
All the time.
It is.
So, the podcast, What Day Is It? We're, an animal podcast, but themed around camels because we all wear camels. But we're just stuck at home. I don't travel much anymore. A lot of the road work I have done has been with Jason. When Bob Meyer passed away, Jason, he really helped me out, took me to see a lot of camels and teach me a lot of things and show me ropes that Bob never had the opportunity to teach me. And at that, they were ropes that, honestly, I would argue that Bob didn't quite know. When you had left, you said you kind of formulated a lot of ththings on your own and how to train camels as a solo group. Because it's like when I was here, I did everything with Bob or with a buddy or whatever, but, you had left, started, training camels on your own. What was the biggest struggle trying to figure out how to work these camels by yourself as an individual?
Oh, going from a team situation to solo when somebody's got your back and you're going to meet a strange camel that's been labeled a number of bad behaviors that camels can have, and you're going in by yourself. It gives you some anxiety.
Yep.
But I guess it was really just the determination and really the love and the thought of the camels and understanding of the techniques that we had come up with, and seen so many camels over the years with Bob, and been in situations as a team and function that way that helped me find ways to tie ropes in certain places or make it so that I had a second hand with my rope. My rope is my second hand. It's my long arm. I tell people all the time that's my coworker. They ask me what the rope's for. That's my coworker. He's going to help me out today. And realistically, a lot of those tricks, that's where they came from. They were, made to be one person be able to manage and handle it. We just always did it as a team while we were here. We always did it together.
Is that a new rope box you got outside too?
Oh yeah, I got
Yeah.
TSA will let them through with that one.
Yep.
They made me buy a toolbox for my tools. They wrecked one of my suitcases that had all my tools in it. So I took it to get it replaced, and they were like, well, what was in it? And I said, well, my tools were in it. They were like, suitcase, it's for clothes. We can't reimburse you. Like, so I got a toolbox, and they broke that too.
They gotta have a field day with the shit that you have in the bag.
Why has this guy got 10 different ropes?
7 rolls of duct tape, 4 carabiners.
Sometimes they let them fly through with propane.
Yeah, that's wild.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they make me throw away my sunscreen.
Yep.
Motherfuckers.
Right. I got my hoof knives and that box is loaded down.
What's your most important tool?
My rope. My coworker. My double-ended rope.
Absolutely.
It does everything from lasso to make noise to just be there.
So, as someone that has arguably seen more camels than most people probably in this country, I want to know what drew you to the camels.
What drew me to the camels? I guess there was a couple of things that drew me to camels. The first camels that we worked with were really the camels that and I can't remember all their names because we were getting rogue camels. I mean, they were like free. They were free. Remember that we went and got one. I think his name was Walter. We drove to like somewhere out by Iowa and picked up this camel Walter.
Was that the one that was eating people?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. He had been sold 3 times. Yeah, couldn't get him on a trailer. Like these animals were like obnoxious, and like they would come in and you could see that they weren't obnoxious on purpose. Like being like where I came from, like I kind of understood them. I wanted to be bad too, so but I also wanted to be good, and I wanted something to be proud of, and like working next to him and showing those animals, and then going from an animal that we couldn't load on a trailer to 2 weeks later we were walking in a 4th of July parade with with stuff going on all around them and stuff, and they relied on us. They there was a serious bond with a camel where he looked at his handler and says, hey, we're friends, we're gonna go. When you take them from a situation where they're misunderstood, don't have a communication with anything. A lot of them where they're living by themselves, or they're living with an animal. They're not able to speak the same language, like horses. We talk about horses and camels all the time.
Yeah.
They don't speak the same language at all. Can they get along? Sure, they can get along, and they can learn to, but it takes certain ones.
Horses speak the devil's speak.
Yeah.
So. There's that.
But I guess that kind of is what kind of inspired it. And then Bob and I just became really good friends right off the bat, pretty much. I got in trouble a couple of times. Bob thought it was funny, sort of.
Jason antics.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time in the ball.
Usually getting bitched at.
Yeah. No, only sitting here getting yelled at. Yeah, the rest of the time I was outside.
Yeah, that's fair.
If I had to go to the office, it was usually not.
Send Jason up there. Okay.
Fucking troublemaker.
Yeah,
I mean,
was up to something.
What was worse though, if you got up here and Bob was up here, or Kathy was up here?
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Oh, I don't want to go. Yeah, there was definitely a line down the middle for sure. There was definitely one side and then the other side. We played mom and dad sides for sure.
Yeah.
We had to find a way to balance that.
But that was most people here though.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah, I think I was. No, if she was being nice to you,
there's a problem.
Yeah.
So, if you had to take a guess, I mean, I'm sure it's a wild gander, man, but since you started homeschool camels, how many camels do you think you've seen?
Individuals, I thought about that the other day. Individual camels, I would say since 2012, I would guess probably 4 to 5, to be fair. I mean, that would be just ballpark. that would be just
Probably fair, yeah.
Okay.
The 13 years now, so.
Yeah.
That's a lot of camels, man.
Yeah.
That's a damn lot of camels. Do you, I mean, there might be multiple. Do you know who was the worst or hardest to reason with?
Ooh. I guess there's a couple of camels that we had back at the farm that were probably the hardest not since I've started out on my own. There's been a few tricky situations where, you know, where I get called into bull camels, for instance. That's 8-year-old Bactrian camel, and they want to train it to ride. And it's really friendly, and I show up there, and it's an 8-year-old Bactrian camel that they bought at an auction that's been breeding cows that's slobbering all over the fence, trying to climb. Like I've met some like that, but at this point, there's no, you back off and you say, call the vet, call the vet and have him castrated so that he's manageable, at least at that point, if that's what your desire is. If you want him breed camels, send him back out to the breeding bunch and just let him be. There's no point in us catching him.
We used to do bull camel rides all the time here.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the things I thought we were going to talk about here is Doofus.
Yeah.
Doofus was a bull camel till he was, 11? 9?
Something like that. It was stupid.
I mean, he was a good boy. He was a really,
Unless you were next to a pony ride.
Really.
Then he wanted to...
Or a bush.
Or a bush, yeah.
This will be Doofus's second go around on debut for
Caravan.
Camel Caravan.
Yeah.
He started the OG down in Florida.
And he's a rock star, man.
Yeah.
He's
just a
fucking
machine.
killing it. And man, and that's just something to say too. Like, I know in terms of camel terms, like, he's not that old, but Doofus ain't fucking young, bro. Doofus is not fucking young, and he is the best camel in that pen, bro. He's just, I mean, he went through some real people too, but he's the camel.
Right. He does everything. Yeah, I've got videos of us brain riding him down across the safari park down there with Omar.
That's so dope.
Yeah, it was so much fun. He was always willing to learn. His story was crazy. Like when we went and picked him up, man, he was in it.
Well, let's hear it, because I feel like I've heard it 40 different ways.
Have you heard it the 40 different ways? Well, we went up to he was in Mountain, Wisconsin, at a little I'm going to call it a road. I don't like using the roadside zoo, but it was a little roadside zoo behind a fireworks stand. And his pen was right up in the front of the thing, and they made a deal. The owners, Bob made a deal with the owners that they were trading camels, and his name was Slick at the time. Slick was coming with us. The owner was terrified of Slick. When we got there, Slick was running up and down the fence and there was no gate to get into the fence. We literally took a bolt cutter and cut a game fence in the front of the zoo, and he came right into the trailer. Mike and I were standing in the trailer, and Mike put the halter right on, and he walked in the trailer. And then the guy wanted to charge Bob more at that point because he didn't think he was going to be able to get the camel out of there. He's been afraid of him for all these years, for the 3 years that he had him. He was about 3 when we...
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah. 3 or 4.
He was about 3 when we picked him up. And he was all frothy and
and
bullish, but he wasn't, to us, he wasn't unfriendly. He wasn't, but the guy was just absolutely terrified of him. And you could see why. There was foam all over the fence and everything, but really it was supposed to be this big, hard job. We were all cowboyed up, ready to go up, and we cut a hole in the fence, and we put a halter on him. I think he was Mike was standing in the trailer when we put the halter on.
Did you guys just back the trailer up to the hole that you?
Yeah. We just backed it up there.
Was he living with other camels?
No, he was by himself. He was totally by himself.
Yeah, he wanted to get out of there.
Did the guy have more?
Nope, he was the only camel he had, and they ended up trading camels. Bob brought him an old female ride camel. Okay, and that's how they ended up trading out. But then the guy wanted money for him after he saw how quickly we were mechanical. We were a mechanical team at that point. Like when we went up to do something, it was like Bob, Mike, and I went up there to get a camel. We were coming back with a camel. It wasn't the question.
Tell us about the transition from Slick to Doofus.
So when he came back here right away, we tied him up immediately and started working with him, graining him. And actually, I believe I think he ended up going to the zoo.
No. After he was trained?
After we trained him here, we rode him out here, and then we took him to the zoo. He did a few parades. He did some parades. And then when he was about, I guess, when he was 5 or 6, that's about when he went down to Lex.
Sure.
Yeah, it was early.
First, it was about 5.
I remember the first job he did, though, because me and Mike did it.
Yeah.
At Arabian Fest on the lakefront.
Okay.
Summerfest. Then he went to the zoo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there was nobody up at the zoo at the time to work him, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, that was terrifying.
Yeah, he was a good camel.
He was good.
Never a bad camel. Even on the safari park, he could have been so much worse. But he had his, when he was 6 and 7, the handlers out there, when he was a bull.
Yeah.
He was a bull living with geldings. So, I mean, he had bull tricks. But if you knew what you were doing and you could talk to him, he wasn't going to hurt you.
No.
He was going to come up and, bubble in your face or, blow bubbles and stuff and let you put his halter on and take him over the camel ride, because really that's what he really wanted to do. He really wanted to...
He just wanted to work.
He just put my saddle on, please.
Yep. Let's go.
Dude, he's the same fucking dude. Like, I mean, to this day, if I take another camel out and saddle him up, Doofus will stand by the fucking gate and stare at us. Like, he's fucking ready to go, man.
Like, dude, what the hell? I want to work.
Right.
Always.
People don't believe me when I say they fucking want to work. They want to do something, and it's good for them, man. Mental stimulation, dude. So, where did, Doofus, was it you or someone, you just called him a fucking doofus and it stuck, or what?
No, so Doofus, when you would rub between his lips, he'd curl his lips up to take in the scent. And a lot of camels do it. It's something that I see all the time. It's one of the greetings. And they curl their lip up and they take in the scent. But Doofus was excessive with his. Doofus it was almost like a trance. You couldn't talk to him until he was finished. And it would go on for, 30 seconds at a time.
At least.
And he'd just be stuck there. And I started feeling, that's when I started calling him Doofus. And we'd call it the Doofus.
And it just stuck.
That was before duck lips.
Yeah.
That would have taken over the internet, camel lip.
Sure, yeah. Do the Doofus.
The duck. Well, you made that baseball card with Doofus doing that now, yeah.
That's funny. That is a good photo choice.
That is great. Hilarious. Worked out perfect.
So, outside of Doofus and the 400 or 500 camels, what percentage would you say have been bulls?
That I've worked with?
Mm-hmm.
Probably a smaller percentage, probably 10%.
Mostly older or younger?
It depends. I've worked with a lot of young bulls. I guess if you count young bulls, I don't consider them bulls until they're 3 or 4 years old. Until they're old enough to be castrated.
No.
Sure.
And to me, castration, there's all kinds of answers when you ask about how old they should be when they're castrated. It depends on who you ask. I don't know which is the best. The Australians say 6. I think most of our ability here in the United States to handle a 6-year-old bull is out. Like, we're not capable of handling 6-year-old bulls around the country here. So they're castrating at 3-4 years old, which is proven to be an okay age. There's plenty of camels that have been castrated even younger than that. Are there some health risks that come along with it? Absolutely. I think there's definitely some things, some markers to watch out for, but you're in when it comes down to a privately owned animal. Yeah, you have to make the decision based on what knowledge you have.
So a few minutes ago, you had talked about the Bactrian you were working, and it's just, so we've talked about this on here before, but I want to hear it from you. What do you think mentally the difference is between the dromedaries and the Bactrians?
Oh, it's quite a bit different. They have quite a bit of a different thought pattern, in my opinion. Like a dromedary, you train a dromedary, you trick a Bactrian. Like a Bactrian, your Bactrian already knows. He knew what you were going to say like 10 minutes ago. He's already ahead of you. He's already way out in front of you. And dromedaries like having a leader, but Bactrian like to be like a cooperative leader. If you can get that, like understand that mentality, like we both have to be the boss. It can't just be me saying, let's go do this. It's got to be both of our ideas to do it. That, I guess, is the biggest thing. Where a dromedary, you can go like, let's go, and he's gonna follow. You go, okay. He's gonna be like, let's go. What you got?
I'd say Omar was probably like the least back train I've ever seen.
Man, I'm telling you, Omar and I, because he came down to Florida to do the thing, and when we went down for 90 days down there and lived down there, and Omar was there every day. I saw Omar every day for 90 days straight, and I would ride Omar after work out there on the safari park.
Because why not?
And that kid, you could talk to him, and he wasn't like a dromedary. I couldn't have done that on Eli. I couldn't have done that on Chester or somebody like that. But Omar, him and I had this like connect because we worked together every day. He would come up to the camper. He'd be waiting in the morning at the camper for me to come out in the morning, and sometimes he would wait for me to come pet him. Sometimes he would just wait for me to come out and then go about his business for the day. It's interesting how they think, but yeah, I liked Omar quite a bit.
Yeah. You remember Alfred a little bit?
I remember Alfred quite a bit.
What about Duke?
I remember Duke too. Yeah. Duke was a cool camel too. He spent a lot of time at the zoo when I first started.
Yeah. Because that's where I started up with him up there. Sorry about that, everybody.
Damn, Fluffy.
Yep, Maggie got home
once a week. Once a fucking.
I know. I gotta do.
So. Caravans have been a big topic the last couple weeks with us building the deck out there and get ready to launch ours. And, we're not going to do it every fucking week, lack of staff, this, and that, man. But we're really excited to do it. And I would argue that Lex's is probably, what's the word I'm looking for? It's the most successful caravan in the country. And if not the only successful one. And it's been going for how long now?
Well, he's got 2, right?
Yeah, he's got 2 going. He owns 2 out of, I believe, the 3, well, I guess 4 now after this weekend, 4 functioning caravans in the country. So I think it's just Lex down in Florida and then debatably Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody, I'm sure there's other caravans going on right now, but we're talking public speaking.
Yeah.
But Lex, what year did that open down there?
I want to say it had to be
Wait, 09?
2009, I think.
Yeah.
If I could probably look back at some dates on some pictures, but I think 2009 is probably a really
That's got to be really close.
to-
Because you left here in 11?
Yeah, it'd have been about 11 it was about 11.
Yeah.
It was about a year before I started homeschool.
Mm-hmm.
So I should plug this in too. We're talking all this back and forth in caravan and Lex in Florida and this. These caravans belong to Draft Ranch in Dade City, Florida, and Safari Wilderness in Lakeland, Florida. Same owner for both of them, but our late boss, Bob and Jason, he got to help build these caravans all these years ago, and it's the one that has lasted the test of time. And it's more than a caravan, it's a safari. You go out there and these camels are so bomb-proof. You're walking through ostriches and zebra, fucking nilgai, kudu, whatever the fuck Lex has out there at the time. Like, it really is insane. Draft Ranch is, in my opinion, a much better put together place. It's much cooler. That's where kind of like the prize animals are, but the property of Safari Wilderness is just fucking impeccable, man.
Which one's got the Tesla trucks?
Draft Ranch.
Draft Ranch.
So that's another thing. Recently, they opened up the world's first Tesla truck safari, Cybertruck Safari, and I think they're charging $800 a person to look at ostrich from a fucking Tesla. And apparently it's working.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. That's so fucking nuts.
Genius.
He is a genius.
Mm-hmm.
I can't fucking argue that, man. Not at fucking all, man. But yeah, it's really cool to think that you were there for the beginning of that, and it's still going, man. And part of the reason that I'm super fucking stoked to launch the caravan here is I really feel that roots are all coming kind of back to place, man. Like, you and Bob got that one going for Lex down there, and Bob just played such a big part of that, and it's the only one that's still going to the fucking stature that it is, and I really feel like bringing that home, man. Bob would be really fucking happy about it.
Oh yeah,
he always wanted to do it at home.
Yeah.
We just always we never had time when we were at home to do it for ourselves. It was always a dream to take the caravan.
Oh, the cat.
Back.
Fucking cat.
Right across the keyboard.
Whatever.
It's fine.
But yeah, we're fucking making it
Now you're
happen.
doing it with Doofus, and hey, man,
Yeah.
I took the first ride, bro.
Absolutely.
Remember who was the camel? It was Clay, Doofus, and Omar were the very first ones that went down there. And Clay was no slouch. Clay was probably 8 or 9 years old.
He's a big bitch too.
And he was a big camel. I don't think is he still.
He died a couple of years ago.
Okay, I was gonna say he was probably 8 or 9 when he came in, but he was late cut bull, and that was a big old guy. That was a big camel.
Yeah.
He was something.
Yeah, Clay
Awesome.
died in my arms, dude.
Yeah.
Probably 6, 7 years ago.
Mm.
Man, we were working the caravan and he collapsed. Fucking that was probably one of my first animal deaths. You know, that shit was fucking depressing. And I didn't know him too well, but I'd been at the caravan a few times, you know, by then. And I don't know if they necropsied him or whatever. I genuinely have no idea. But he died, and I want to say Lincoln passed away last year. I don't know if you went back for Lincoln or not.
I know.
Both of them were big camels, dude. They were massive. Big light bastards, too. They were super pretty. Where did Clay come from?
Clay came from somewhere up here. He came from somewhere that didn't want him because he was.
That was every camel we got.
Camel. As far as I'm concerned, he was feral when he got here.
I can't think of any camels that we got up here ever that were like, oh yeah, this is a great camel.
Yeah.
Not one.
No, I can't think of any. I can't think of any that just.
Since I was here.
So we've been talking about Flynn a lot because that's been, you know, topic, and we got this big bastard bottle baby camel, and he's a pain in the butt. He injured some people, yada yada yada. So everybody knows about Flynn and his situation, but so your situation of being on the road, so, you know, at first Bob would just bring in, you know, camels that fucking came from various homes. From your opinion of being on the road all these years, what do you think caused all of those camels to not behave well or come in and be what, you know, they call junk coming into the farm?
I think a lack of knowledge, a lack of understanding. We like to pair animals that can work with animals that can work. Like we see a camel and we automatically think, well, we want it to do what a horse does, so we're going to train it like a horse, like we would train a horse to do it, because it makes perfect sense. Why wouldn't you? It's been proven over hundreds of years. We've ridden horses, you know, everywhere. Why wouldn't it work on a camel? Well, it doesn't work. Don't speak that thing. They're more athletic than that. They're much more capable of comprehension
and smarter.
Right.
That's what he's saying.
With it.
Yeah.
More comprehensible to small tasks, I guess you could say. Yeah, I guess that kind of.
Calmer.
Yeah.
Do you think there is for sure, but for like somebody that doesn't do their research and just willy-nilly gets a camel, what's the biggest, like the most common mistake?
Probably feeding them treats. Probably thinking that your camel loves you and he loves to have treats and peanuts.
Once those treats stop, he don't love you no more.
Yeah, the treat and the treats don't always have to be stuff like that either. Like the treats can be like real food. It depends on how you interact with camel. Camel's not a baby. It's a different type of pet. It takes some education to have a pet camel. And I think going in it blindly is great if you got the opportunity, but you should be open-minded enough to know that if you don't know, you're going to need. Yeah. You know, your camel's going to get big if you bought a baby camel, or if you bought a big camel, you're going to find out right away. Your fence isn't going to hold them. You know, something, whatever it's going to be.
Well, it's come like to me when people ask about getting camels, and the people kind of ask about price ranges and what, I don't care, I'll talk about it, but I always say you're going to want to put an extra couple grand on whatever you're paying for that camel, because I don't care who it is, somebody's going to have to come out and teach you how to be safe around it, how to handle it, if you train it, if it's not trained. Like, in my opinion, and I know I'm not the guy that travels the country and does this, I think hiring someone like Jason Martin is, you know, the camel's 50% of the battle, but it's him making sure that the people know how to stay safe and how to handle this animal and keep it healthy. You know, like that's the other half of it, you know?
Website is Homeschool Camels, by the way.
Well, I can say that. I can say that. Probably, I would say more than 50% of the stuff that I do out on the road is working with people, working with the families, working with the staff members that are interacting with the camel, because the camel already most camels are really easy to train. You are able to reason with them. They're really easy to train. It's it's trying to get people to do the same thing that
Yeah.
they did yesterday the same way. You
Mhm.
know,
Well, even employees here, that was hard with.
consistency we lack in, and camels excel in. You know, if your camel guys, if there's one thing about a camel is they're consistent.
Yep.
If you go out there, they're in the same place every day. They sleep in the same place every night. They stand in the same order at the watering trough. When they're free to do on their own, they're consistent.
Mhm.
You know, and I think people, as people, we fail that. Fail. I think that might be the magic trick of being a camel trainer.
Your autism.
My autism. But being totally like 8 o'clock is 8 o'clock. You know, it's time to eat our grain and then get brushed and then get this. You know, there's a routine to everything that goes into it. You know, having a pet camel, you have a job, you have life going on around you. You don't always have the time to dedicate to. So I think that's something to look at too when you get a camel, is make sure you've got something for him to do, because he's smart. He can't just stand in a pen, watch you go to work every day and come home and give him a
Right.
cookie.
Well, that's what people want.
Right.
They do. It's kind of like your dog.
Yeah.
You want to come home and you want him to lick your face and hang out with you, but you hang out with your dog.
Yeah.
Where your camel, you're not out. You can't. Don't let your camel sit on your couch.
I wish I could.
But you could teach them to do things, but you have to go do them.
Yeah.
Realize that their energy level is going to be dependent on how you interact.
Absolutely. 100% agree. But a wise man once told me that training a camel, you just got to wear out a pair of shoes.
That's it. Time and miles, man. Just wearing out shoes, and really, sometimes it's not so much about the miles as it is about the time. You know, how long does it take you to go that far? How much time do you have to have that conversation with the animal? Really connect with that. Really understand why doesn't he want to walk with you? I don't know. Ask yourself that question. Don't push him to find out, why doesn't he want to walk with you? He should want to walk with you. If he's going to be your friend and he's going to go on a walk.
Well, some of the owners used to hit him with sticks.
Well, absolutely.
That's one reason why they don't want to walk
Well,
with
they
him.
watched Yosemite Sam back
Yeah.
in 1978 go, "Oh, you humpity mule," and
Yeah.
when I says whoa, I means whoa.
And they woed.
That's fucked up.
But that's a perception that that you get, that the camels have treated. Really don't.
No.
Really, they live in a gentle structure. They're smart enough to understand the simplest of tasks that we're ever going to ask them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So,
And then they get bored with it when they learn those.
Yeah, well, then you got to do something bad.
And they steal Gatorades and food.
teach them to do a backflip or something.
Yeah.
Create chaos.
You ever see them camels that like do Papa Wheelies and all that? And jump on trampolines?
Let's talk about that for a second.
Man.
Actually, yeah. So we know that training structures and stuff like that are,
Like the Swede.
Yeah.
we know that people train camels and other animals, much differently overseas. And sometimes it's respectable, sometimes it's not, yada, yada, yada. How do you think they get them to do that, man? We don't do shit with our camels over here compared to what they do overseas, man. How do you make them pop a wheelie?
Well, I'm not sure. I've never trained one to pop a wheelie.
You got to
before,
have a theory.
But I don't know. I don't know. Every culture has a different way of handling camel. And I think a lot of those camels in those cultures that you see that kind of dancing and that celebratory ritual type of stuff, those camels are living with those people
Oh, yeah.
day and night. Like those camels sleep outside their doorsteps. They carry the water from the well back to the home. There's still communities, I think, around the world that still utilize their camels like that. So to get one to react like that, I think it would take some incredible time. I also think that there could potentially be some abusive methods, but I like to try to think that most humans don't have the intention of hurting, and that they have the idea of accomplishing something.
Have you seen that guy? It's a circus act around the U.S. here that he has the 8 white Bactrian babies, and they all just run the circus ring together, like just, and then they run in a circle, and then 4 of them will turn around and they'll start running the circle through each other. It's really fucking wild.
That's impressive.
It is. It's really cool. It'd be even cooler when they're full grown if you can keep them doing it. But it's like, even watching that guy, I saw him down in Illinois last year. I was like, man, I thought I was kind of cool. You know, I
Nope.
can do a camel ride and get him to cush, but this motherfucker's making them do figure eights.
Right.
Dude. Like, that's fucking wicked, man. He was a whip trainer. You know, he had an Arab horse act, and then this same guy had he had a buffalo act.
That's cool.
Lady ran out on
Bison or buffalo?
I don't know, whatever.
Water buffalo, or is it a
Just an American buffalo.
Oh, okay.
So just I guess
Bison.
Bison, okay. Yeah, it's really cool, and it just makes me, watching people do shit like that in the Papa Wheelies, I'm like, man, I don't know shit about these.
We can teach Flynn how to pop a wheelie.
Flynn needs to learn how to pop a wheelie. That might make him a little more respectable.
Yeah.
He's being a good boy.
No, he's just an 8-year-old brat. That's all he is.
That's all he is. Yeah.
But when we heard the horror stories going to pick him up, we're like, oh god, all right, here we go. Get your war face on.
Broke some ribs, broken nose,
Yep.
and
Crushed
That's
people.
my job every week.
Yeah.
Like, that's my job every week.
Yeah.
I get that call, and they're like I was just telling Shane on the way back from the airport, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna go see this camel. Like all I have is all bad information about this camel. That's all my perception is at this point. So now I'm trying to put it together with everything I've seen over the years. I'm like, and I don't know if I'm prepared for this.
Right?
But you know,
Right?
I know it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Sort of. But I don't always know.
mm-hmm.
It has been. But
Well, it's been a long time since I've seen like a untrained camel, and it's like, all right, yeah, here we go. Getting a little older now.
I mean, I'd be lying if I said, you know, when we were loading him up, I wasn't a little intimidated, for sure. And he's a big bastard.
Just the
dude.
size of him, and he knows how big he is.
He does. He 100% understands his size and strength.
Mhm.
And that's the terrifying part of Flynn, you know, where the rest of them, and, you know, professionally, I shouldn't always call them puppy dogs, but they're kind of just, you know, big puppy dogs, you know, where Flynn, he knows he's 7'8".
Mm-hmm.
You know, he understands it. Like, if Doofus ran me over, hypothetically, I think all that was on his mind was the grain behind.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
If Flynn ran
Or whatever it
over,
is.
Flynn knew he could just do it.
Yeah.
You know, he understands that his leg is the same size as me.
Yeah.
You know, but
His back legs are taller than me.
he's so fucking big, dude. He is goddamn massive. So before the last thing we were talking about, I was gonna ask you, so, you know, we live in a world that is just hounded by activists and PETA and blah 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 blah, and this is also shit we've been over a million times on here, but what would you have to say to the naysayers of camel rides?
I would say that they're probably uneducated in the idea of what a camel actually is and what a camel actually. Camels are one of the strongest, most efficient animals on the planet. They have to be able to utilize their muscles, their joints, and their legs. They're also one of the laziest animals on the planet. If you let them be lazy, they will lay around and they will get unhealthy by not exercising. We all need exercise
Mm-hmm.
to stay healthy. And camels need an excessive amount. They just need an excessive amount of exercise. And I think the enrichment and stimulation and connection to the people is something natural that we need to continue to capture. It's happened for thousands of years, going on 5,000 years of domestication. So,
Wild.
helps bridge people into a soft mindset as well. A peaceful mindset. We work with animals. Animals don't have some of the resentment that people carry. I guess that's another thing that you're gonna bring me back to the beginning when we were talking about what brought me to animals. They don't hold those grudges.
Oh, I've seen some of them hold grudges. Oh, fuck you, you're wrong.
One tiger tries to even know.
Ah, some of them camels too, man.
Yeah, there was a few.
Remember the two that spit at me at the same time? Yeah, I didn't do nothing to them.
Go to your truck.
That was you.
Your brand new
Yeah.
car.
Just got my brand new Grand Am. He backs the Camel up and he just plops all over.
Diarrhea, the whole hood.
Just sprays. I'm like, you're cleaning that off. I'm not cleaning that off. It's eating through my paint as we speak.
It was horrible. I felt bad.
No, you didn't. You were laughing the whole time. I was laughing, but I'm like, you're cleaning that off. So
it was circumstantial.
we sprayed it off.
It was circumcision, man.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't the first time somebody got shit on around here, especially me. So
Cat, what you talking about? Podcast Cat's vocal today.
yes, he is.
He's waiting on food. He's mad because I ran out of his friskies.
Oh,
That's probably what he's talking
bastard.
about. So I've been giving him some Aluna's wet food, and he's not super thrilled about it. But just,
Spoiled ass cats.
I know. What the fuck was I just gonna say? God damn it, Podcast Cat. He's a good cat.
Awesome.
But-
At least he's nah.
Who was it that got picked up by Eli and slammed into each other? They were both hanging on to separate ropes.
There was like 4 people on that one, wasn't there?
Oh, the one that happened was one of those back rings. Remember?
It was a bag trim.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, that was Eli.
No, you're right. Eli did it too.
Yeah.
Eli did it to a bunch of us.
Yeah.
Because we tried it so many times. Eli wouldn't work in the yard.
He broke your nose.
Yeah, he bought me good out there in the front yard. He hit me with a Bozell on him.
I was right there.
We had a Bozell on him,
A metal Bozell.
which was just it was just a little bit of restriction for him.
Well, I think because we were trying to teach him to rain ride at that
That's
point.
what we were doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
the request was that he was going to be a rain riding camel, so it was just on him.
Oh, so Bob didn't own him yet at that
No, he
No.
didn't own him at that point.
Okay.
And no, all of his initial training we did under. He was sent here
Mhm.
to camel school.
Until we heard that his favorite best friend at home was a stick,
Mhm.
which wasn't really a friend,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
then Bob's like, all right, we're gonna buy him.
I don't know if I had heard it from you or if Bob had told me, but I guess it went, Bob gave him 10 grand for Eli. And at the time, that was the most he had ever spent on a camel.
Probably.
Bob probably never spent 10 grand on a
An animal.
Camel.
Yeah. Well, because everything was given.
They were all rogues when we got them. They were
Well,
dangerous animals.
I remember when the fucking alpaca fur bust came. You remember that? And we just kept, every year was like alpaca. Like, we didn't know what to do with them all.
Mhm.
There were like 30 head out here at one point.
Dude.
I think that's when you got your thumb ripped open, right?
Yeah, we had a whole
We're-
load of.
Dude, it was crazy.
The crazy part about that is, man, alpacas go for thousands of dollars
Now.
in the right market. They did then.
Well,
Where
where genetics? If you know the genetics of them, so that's the whole thing with the palm alpaca market.
Yeah.
is the genetics and the fiber, the fiber quality, and they've got a bunch of markers that they have to meet in order to be an eccentric llama, to be a special llama. Otherwise, there are junk llamas still there. I hate calling them
Junk to
Not-
people.
Yeah. You took me somewhere probably 2 years ago now. I think in Ohio, they had a little capybara hut, and we were there. You were assisting a veterinarian castrate a camel. Where the fuck? Do you know what I'm talking about? It was an alpaca farm.
Yeah, it's Majestic Meadows.
Yes,
Yeah.
Majestic Meadows. I can't remember the guy's name, but I was talking to the owner for a little bit, and he was showing me around. Super cool people. But he had said, I think, that for his original alpaca, his breeder male back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, he spent 30 grand on.
Oh.
And that was back then. And I want to say he said he got his original bloodline from Bill Coburn.
Mm.
But that's fucking wild, dude. Like I was happy that I got my llama into alpacas for a set of $1,200.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was ecstatic about that shit. But people, dude, it's crazy.
And that llama is the coolest llama I've ever seen.
He is cool, man. I got a call about that parade yet still.
Why are you putting it on the back burner?
I keep forgetting. It was on my calendar to call him a second.
Yeah.
I just
Well, it's
I
in
know-
pieces.
I know a guy that knows how to make.
Yeah.
I was just talking to Fluffy about it because there is one upstairs, I think, but I was telling him you're probably the only person that knows how to put it
I
on.
know we're going Tractor Supply.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll pay for the shit you help make it, man.
I think we should just start from scratch because that one is just, there's nothing left on it.
Yeah.
All the tack's gone.
You know, if we got to buy some cinches and rings and ropes and,
Yeah, you can make
you
it.
know,
I know a guy that can build it.
fuck yeah, you do, man.
Probably do it for these tractors. We could probably do it.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, We got Farm and Fleet. If we want to go to Burlington and hit TSC,
Yeah, we don't need
you sure
Yeah.
can, you know.
Or Fleet Farm too.
Or Fleet Farm. Our Farm and Fleet sucks dick.
Yeah, it's horrible now.
Shout out Farm and Fleet. I go there because you're close.
Yeah, Fleet Farm is eons better.
Shout out Fleet Farm. The only thing I've ever bought from Fleet Farm is
A pig water dish.
I did buy that from there. I was
Yeah.
gonna say when we went in on the skeet shooter.
Oh yeah, but that was the old one in Germantown too.
Is that not there anymore?
It is. It's just it's not the same as the new Fleet Farms.
It is like a warehouse.
Yeah.
The one I got the pig water from was the most beautiful store.
And that's a newer one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked brand fucking.
Muskego or whatever.
I can't remember,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was definitely looked brand new in that bitch for sure. Awesome investment, this pig water or two. Though I do have to say, it's a lot of gallons for only having 3 pigs. They don't drink that much, but I don't have to fill it every day and they can't play in it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
definitely fucking works out, man. Absolutely. But yeah, man, it's just, it's a wild fucking camel world out here. And then another thing I kind of wanted to, get a perspective of you on, man, is we talk about lack of exercise and parasites and, broken down pasterns and nail trimming. And camels have all these problems when not taken care of correctly. But even though generally they're very hardy animals, but what would you say at this point in time would be the number one fatality for camels?
Of all those, probably say parasites are probably the biggest issue. So that camel owners should educate themselves. We've got a lot of great folks in the network. Morrow, all those guys, all the big camel guys, they all know about parasites.
Mm-hmm.
Some point in time, they've all had an animal that has succumbed to it. Sure. Yeah. But yeah, parasites are tough. One animal, the smallest thing on the planet, still the biggest land mammal.
And then like they can live on every continent.
Yeah.
They can do whatever. Like one of the best creatures for doing anything, like weight wise and all that. And yep, parasites take them out.
I've never thought about the size difference between a parasite and a camel.
Mhm.
That is actually
Isn't that
mind
crazy?
blowing.
It's like I'm allergic to bees. Of all the things I could be allergic to,
That's because you're a pussy.
yeah, well,
Yeah, but literally, they're microscopic, the
Yeah.
eggs that we look at. That fucking camel's 15, 16, 1,700 pounds, like, that is fucking insane, man. That's super fucking crazy, dude. Absolutely ridiculous, man. So where are you heading after this?
from Rigdon here, I'm heading up to St. Croix, Wisconsin. Go meet
Fishing
up-
rods.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna be doing some of that too. I'm gonna check out a camel up there for a couple of days. Spend 3 days with the family, get them acclimated with their camel. They've had them for a few months and shy. They have time coming up, be a part of the family. From there, I'm going to Minnesota, just south of Minneapolis, to meet up with another camel there. That's a gelding that lives with a herd of donkeys. Also struggling to get a halter on. Spend more time with him, but can't catch him. So lend a hand and see if we can come up with some tech. Just camel on halter there. Going back to Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. Driving all the way across Clyde Park. Meet up with the 10-year-old park gelding or the probably do some nail trimming, some maintenance with those ones. See if there's anything better than live. Make it.
Absolutely.
Then make it back around for the 4th of July. Really chill out for 4th.
Busy, man. Always fucking busy with homeschool camels. We all three of us we've worked bulls. Sometimes I look at it and I'm like, wow, that's kind of stupid. I like the way of you thinking of it. Regardless of them technically or legally being a bull, they don't really hit that kind of bullish attitude for a few years. Even in the United States, there's a few camel deaths a year via bulls. Do you, in your opinion, do you think these people are doing something wrong? Is it wrong that they're working older bulls? Do you think bulls need to just be placed to breed? Is that what they should do? Or do you think people, can do rides on fucking 15-year-old bulls?
I think if we rode the bulls, yeah,
Okay.
to be honest with you, because it gives them something to do. If you look at the death by bull camels in the recent years, we've seen all the headlines. Most of those bulls were in breeding situations,
Mm-hmm.
and it was someone that crossed paths with the bull had escaped, or been in an uprising situation where someone had gotten hurt camel in by being a camel. Yes, he was your friend yesterday. It got cold. So, he's got a different attitude today, so it
Be
changes
like
things.
that.
I think after working bulls, we've worked bulls through the rut season, through their teenage years. In a lot of cases, they don't react. They're not just walking around trying to.
Well, not all of them.
Not all of them,
Some of them.
I mean, that was the facts. That was the first thing I really ever seen was Doofus Mountain Bob, at the Oak
The
Creek
church.
Salvation Army, yeah.
When he wiped the slobber off his face.
Yeah. He's like, we can't have that shit, leaking on the carpet of the church. Well, and he comes up with a paper towel and wipes it off, and immediately Doofus is like, oh, it's go time. You're trying to get it on. And, at this point, I don't know how many toes Bob did or didn't have, and he's just waddling, trying to run away from this camel. And it was like, totally unbob of him, but he didn't have any fucking balance. And then that's when, Devin came up and he smacked Doofus in the face and got him off Bob. And I mean, at this time, I was probably 16. I didn't know a fucking camel from foot, So
Standing like, what the fuck is
I think I was in there holding a fucking goat or something,
Oh, yeah, because we had goats on that one, right?
There were a couple.
Yeah.
It's normally like a donkey and a camel.
Yeah, me and Brenda did that one a couple times.
It's super chill gig, man.
Oh, yeah.
Super fucking great gig. And Doofus, I mean, he still turned around and did it. No fucking problem.
Oh,
He
yeah.
just wanted, Bob's butt. He was after it.
Do you remember the camel that kept attacking people? Like, we'd have to tie him up, but he'd, like he got Clint, he got Mike.
P.S. He was in camel crocs.
Mongo.
Was it Mongo?
Mongo.
Really?
Mhm.
Is that the one that got him in the trailer?
No, that was the one that got Mike in the trailer was Wade.
Wade, that's it.
He was a big hybrid.
See, I didn't think that was Mongo.
That was probably that was probably the scariest. I think that was the scariest one.
So what was Mike just positioned in the wrong spot at the wrong time, or
No, I just think the camel was like he was just over being in the trailer. He didn't want to be back in the trailer. And we had to put him back in the trailer. He had to get back in the trailer. And when we took him in, I mean, luckily he grabbed Mike, not me, but
damn?
he was looking for he was looking for somebody, and
Thank God he got him on his arm.
Mike was there and he grabbed him by his arm, luckily, instead of his head.
Yeah.
Was
Mike
he
took a hell of a ride in there.
Yeah.
was he in the trailer for like quarantine, or was he a danger to the other camels?
No, he was just being quarantined. We were doing TV tests on him. He was actually leaving. He was leaving to go to Florida. He was leaving to go to a camel ride, to be trained on a camel. But,
he was not trained.
Yeah, no, he wasn't trained.
So, I mean, after all of that, do you know if he ended up getting trained and working?
Absolutely. He worked at Tampa at Laurie Park.
Oh, no shit.
For years, yeah.
Actually, I just found pictures of camels in that zoo on a CD, so I wonder if he's in them pictures.
He very well could.
Could be.
He worked there for years. We went down. I worked with him several times with Bob on the ride down there. Bob would go down to consult the elephants, and I got myself in trouble with the elephant part, so I would go to the camel ride and hang out with the camels over there. And then especially once Wade was there, because Wade was giving him trouble down. I went over and helped them, and we were able to get Wade to work just fine.
See, I don't think he was down there when I went there.
I don't think so either. I think you had like Sandy and Fast, and you had some older.
The females, and then I had 2 males, I think.
Yeah, there was a couple of
Hank. Yep, he was cool.
He went to Chattanooga.
Okay.
And then there was
a younger one, I think. Yeah, they were all pretty decent.
So since Wade and Mike, have you seen anybody else get attacked like that?
Not. No.
That was probably he was white when he came out of that trailer.
It's really uncharacteristic of a camel to really like go after unless they've been pushed beyond.
And he was, yeah.
I've seen a few camels that were acting like they could do that to somebody, but we've been smart enough to go, hey, he's acting like that. Don't get in there.
Well, I think it says something about camels that you've been doing this how many years, and you've seen one person get really fucked up like that.
Well, I didn't get fucked up bad though. I got bit by that female. She liked already, but I guess that's the second one.
Sure.
So what was your worst camel incident or worst animal? Yeah, what
to me?
Yeah.
I fell off Shamrock and pulled both sides of my groin up.
That was a bad one.
Worst injury that I've ever had.
He was walking like like a broken cowboy, like sway like that. Yeah.
And they like throw him. It was forever too.
Yeah.
Not go away. They had me going. Like I didn't want to go to the doctor anyway. Like Bob made me go to the hospital. I didn't want to go, but
they couldn't do anything, right?
Physical therapy once a week or twice a week.
Yeah.
And I had to do anger management, all the other crap I was doing. But I had to go to therapy, and they did like they made me put this pair of shorts on, and they'd boot my legs up with the ultrasound and stuff. I hate it so awful.
That sounds terrible.
But it was like it took like 6 months for that to heal. Like I ripped both of them good.
Okay, have you ever been fucked up by a little critter?
Little critter.
I mean, it could be medium or little, just not a camel.
Nothing really cool.
No,
I got bit by Sarge back in the day. He scooped it. I still have a scar from it on my arm.
Really?
He scooped a section of my arm out. It was before he could be handled. He used to not be able to be handled, and we were getting him to where he would sit up on. We had a photo shoot or something because he always stick trained. We were stick.
Yeah, it was always stick.
Step on a stick and we can move him, but we had to do something for a photo shoot, and he had to sit on your arm. Well, I got him to where he would sit on my arm and he would sit up on my shoulder. But we only did it by ourselves, and somebody came in there while we were doing it one day, and he bit me instead of like freaking out on the person that walked. I got tore up by the llama one time. That when he bit the skin.
Say that was probably the worst one I've seen.
Yeah,
you get messed up.
I guess the camel bite and falling off that camel that one time was probably my.
I
tore my tricep, which wasn't really super exciting.
No,
I was just like riding a green camel, and he stepped off and tripped, and like the shock of my arm coming back and forth popped my tricep off the back of my shoulder and landed my elbow. And you want to talk about some gross, dude? It was so. You could. I
remember that.
Muscle was just laying in there, just like you could see it moving like it was an alien in my arm. So crazy.
That's fucking gross.
That was horrible. That was a horrible injury. My whole arm swelled up all the way to my.
Yeah.
That one might have been worse than the groin. I don't know. It was pretty bad.
You've been beat up.
I learned how to tie my shoes with one hand. That was pretty bad. That was my great accomplishment of tearing my arm up.
I'd have bought Velcros.
Yeah,
right? Slip on.
Yeah, but the work boots didn't work. I was hiding my arm at work because, hiding my arm. I didn't want the owners to know that my arm was messed up when I would show up at their house. So I would work all day, and then I'd go back to the motel room and pack it in ice because they would just swell through the whole day. But I was literally training camels with one hand. Because I couldn't use it. I couldn't tie my shoes with it. I couldn't do anything.
Fucking baller.
Some days I even had it like tied in underneath my sweatshirt against my body because I couldn't my arm at all.
So I'm the only dumbass that's gotten kicked in the head.
No, Bob did.
I got kicked
by
in the face once.
Huh?
By a giraffe.
No, you got kicked by
Alfred.
Alfred, yeah.
Alfred kicked him in the head hard.
Dude.
Shit.
Yeah, lit his ass up. When he was trimming his foot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's sitting down there and all of a sudden, wham, and he walks out of the pen like this with his shoulders up, and he walks out and he pulls his neck out and he goes, and he goes right back in. He's like, I ain't fucking done. I'm like, okay, dude, you got it, Bob.
Sydney kicked me in the face. We were taking him to take him to bed. Okay.
Really?
We had his leg tied up underneath. I was looking for something in between his toes, and of course I need to see it. So I look in there and he went, wham!
Oh, with the front?
The back foot. His foot was tied up, and I was looking between his toes, and he went, wham! Hit me in the face, dude.
Cody swears that Sydney was tall enough that she could walk under that.
Sydney was a big camel. He was a big camel. And for whatever reason, he ended up being one of my projects. He was a tough camel, too. He'd be on the top. Tough top.
What was his issue?
He was raised in a petting zoo down in Tennessee, in a small zoo, and he was fed over the fence by the customers, and he learned to pick things up off of strollers and people. And he had no boundaries, basically. By the time he was 8 years old, he was hurt. He'd pick people up by their shoulders and their arms, things like that. The zoo had an idea that they wanted to put in camel rides, generate some revenue. They had this big rogue camel down there. Pop said, "Hey, send him up here. We'll turn him into a ride camel." Little did we know, he ended up being a really cool ride camel. He ended up being a really awesome camel. I think we'll have to look through some video. I got the background.
Sure.
I have a video. Ride down. It was a beautiful outbreak. That was where Bob flew out. Heart attack. It was my first job I got left on. Bob, we flew down for 10 days to open the ride. On like the third day, on the way down, when I got kicked in the face by Sydney, we were working on another camel that knocked Bob down. Bob got knocked flat on his back. Well, in that process, he broke his clavicle. We didn't know. And we got to Tennessee, and he was like, "I'm having chest pains. I'm having chest pains. I'm having chest pains." I'm like, all the years with his health problems, I'm like, this fucker's going to die on me on the road. Like, dude, you got to go home or something. He's like, "Think you can do it?" And I'm like, "I can do it." And he left me down there, and we opened up the ride. It went off. He was super proud of me for getting that all done. So flying it out. Pretty cool.
That's badass, man.
Big ass camel. He wasn't mean when we took him down there, though. He was happy. It was almost like he was happy to be home. Sure he was.
Yeah, get the hell out of this fucking place. These psychos.
That's funny. So I'll do whatever you want. Just bring me home.
Right?
But all right, fellas, I have to go trailer up Newt and get to my grandmother's.
They're doing rides?
Church. No.
Oh, just standing.
Just standing. Hell no, I ain't doing rides. If I gotta do that, get to grandma's church, make that happen before nobody forgives me.
Yep.
Yada yada.
Don't want to piss grandma off.
No, absolutely not. Nor the churchgoers.
Yeah, that's fair. On a Tuesday too, though.
I know. Well, they do this thing once a year. It's their ice cream social, they call it. And they just gather together, and the fire trucks are out there, and yada yada. It's just like
Is that the one on 38 over here?
right up here, yeah.
Oh, Culver's ice cream thing, right? Yeah, okay.
So that's the biggest benefit. They give away Culver's ice cream.
Yep.
So
Well, you get some ice cream.
absolutely. Maybe I'll give Newton a cup too.
Some ice cream and some prayers.
Well, custard, actually.
Custard. Absolutely. But anywho, guys, we appreciate you listening in this week, listening to another hour of
Very
us ramble.
special.
It is very special, absolutely. But without further ado,
Happy hump day, everybody.
Happy hump day.
Woo woo.